Parviz Jarabi, attorney at law. I've been practicing for over 20 years. Our office is located by San Francisco Airport, specializing in employment law. Today's topic, lunch break rules in California. Most California employees must receive at least one unpaid 30-minute meal break when working more than 5 hours a day, and a second unpaid 30-minute meal break for a shift longer than 10 hours a day. You can, however, waive your second lunch break by mutual consent of the employer and employee, and only if the first meal period was not waived. The meal break must start before the end of the fifth hour of your shift, otherwise, there will be a violation. The law in California states that an employee can work up to 6 hours with no lunch break, given that the employee has voluntarily waived her lunch break. You can only waive the meal period provided you do not work more than 6 hours in the workday. Employers cannot ask the employee to go ahead and clock out exactly within the 6 hour and continue to work for another few minutes to either clean up, organize your desk, or anything else. If the employee works a minute past 6 hours, there will be a violation. The employee must be relieved of all duty during the 30-minute meal breaks. Examples of on-duty meal breaks are when your employer tells you to have your cell phone on during the lunch break for the employer to call you. Another example is when the employer asks the employees to take the lunches while driving between job sites. The employer cannot interrupt you during your meal break by asking about the progress of a project or talk about the schedule for the day or the next day. The lunch break must be exactly 30 minutes, not a minute less. Otherwise, there will be a violation. For example, if the employee is required after clocking out to walk to a distance of 1 or 2 minutes to an area that is designated by the employer to take his or her lunch breaks, and after taking the break, walk back the distance of 1 or 2 minutes to where he or she needs to clock back in, and then has to wait in line for additional minute or two, and still be at his or her workstation exactly 30 minutes from the clock out time. In other words, all of that has to be done within the 30 minutes, which will result in the lunch break itself to be less than 30 minutes when counting all the time the employee is spent walking and waiting in line. Therefore, this will result in violation of non-compliant lunch breaks, and the employee is entitled to be paid for 1 hour of pay at his or her regular rate of pay. The employee must be free to leave the premises, the employer's premises. And if the employer requires the employee to remain on the work site during the meal break, the meal period is considered on duty and is counted as hours worked, which must be compensated at the employee's regular rate of pay. This is true even where the employee is relieved of all work duties during that meal break. An on-duty meal break may be provided if the employee agrees in writing, and such on-duty meal break is allowed only when the nature of the work prevents an employee from being relieved of an on-duty meal break. For example, if you're working at a 24 hours convenience store, or if you're a security guard, you can have an on-duty meal break, and you also will be paid an hour of your regular rate. For an on-duty meal break to be valid, both employer and employee must agree in writing to the on-duty meal break, and the written agreement must also have a provision that the employee may in writing revoke the agreement at any time. So you must have an option to revoke such an agreement, and it cannot be forever. When the employees are required to eat on the premises, a suitable place for the break should be designated. For example, you have to have a sanitary location, and it cannot be a dirty or filthy place. And the employer must provide an adequate supply of portable water, cleaning agents, towels, hand wash for it to qualify as a suitable place to eat and to spend your lunch break time. If the meal break occurs on a shift between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., the facility must be available for securing hot food, must have a microwave for heating your food or drink, suitable place must be provided to eat your food. An employer is not required to ensure that the meal breaks are taken, which means that the employer does not have an obligation to watch you or check on you to make sure you're taking your lunch break. However, they must make sure they don't overwork you by having too many tasks for you to do, which makes it impossible for you to be able to take your breaks. I've seen quite often when the employer assigns too many tasks for the employee to complete, and they rush the employee to hurry up and finish the task, which makes it impossible for the employees to take their breaks. If an employer fails to provide an employee with a meal period free from all duties, the employer must pay 1 additional hour at the employee's regular rate of pay for each workday that the meal period is not provided. Please contact my office with any employment law questions for free consultation. Please be sure to like and subscribe and turn on your notification.